Hello and welcome to another episode of the Suzie Wokabi podcast. We are here today at the lovely Shisonia again, interviewing. Oh, look at this gorgeousness.
Stop it, you're making me blush.
We are both wearing her and
Yes.
her brand icon because she is a fashion icon.
Yes.
And her lovely name is Cris Njoki. Welcome, darling. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I've been waiting for this.
And you look amazing. Let me just tell you, this kimono,
Yes.
you're one of the few who have it. Everyone's always asking for it.
For
I'm
real.
like, hey.
So I'm a lucky one.
You're so lucky.
You know what? Let them just eat.
Hey, show them. Yeah, that's very
Right,
nice.
right. I love it so much.
Sorry.
In fact, I wore it first in. Am I still on? I wore it first in Zanzibar in December.
Nice. I like the print. It
I
looks
love
really
it.
nice.
I love it. So great to have you.
Thank you for having me as well. I'm so excited to be here.
There's so much I want to know. I
Yeah.
want to like tear you apart, dissect you.
Oh God,
for
please be
myself
gentle.
and
Please be
everyone.
gentle.
Very gently.
Okay.
So, who is Cris? Where did she begin? I want to know. Born, raised, where did it start?
Wow. Okay. So you're taking us all the way back.
All the way back.
So Cris, who am I? Let's start with maybe where I was born. I was born in Mombasa.
Oh.
But then we stayed there for a really short time. Came to Nairobi when I was about.
Your baby.
Yeah. No. We moved back to Nairobi when I was about 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a while.
Yeah.
So
Is it long?
You remember living in Mombasa?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I just remember bits and pieces, but nothing, substantial.
Okay.
But we moved to Nairobi. My dad used to work there at the time in the coast. So when we moved to Nairobi, he still worked there a bit. Then he used to come
Back and
visit.
forth.
Yeah. But been in Nairobi, grew up. I'm the first of 3. So I have a younger sister who's about 5 years. Yeah, 5 years younger than me. Yeah.
So you're the first born.
Yeah.
You're the only baby for a little while.
Yeah, for a little bit. And then my brother, who's maybe like 15 years younger than me. So that was a big...
From the same two parents.
Yeah, from the same.
See,
Yeah.
me as a parent, I can't understand.
Imagine. I was like, oh my God, guys, why did you wait that long?
Wow.
But yeah, so I think my childhood was pretty, I don't know, like nothing much to like write home about. It was pretty normal, 3 kids, school. I wouldn't say I was an A student. I was pretty good. I was like kidogo higher than average.
Yeah.
I was better when I was younger. Then when I went to high school, it's like, I don't know why.
Yeah, I kind of faltered in my early teens.
Yeah.
I just got busy with life.
Yeah, exactly.
Because teens are so important.
Yeah, oh my God, she was so busy. So yeah, as a preteen, I was much better in school. Afterwards, it was like, phew. And then we tried to come up kidogo, but the field was done. Field was done. So
Needed to finish.
Yeah. So we were done with school. After that, I went into business school. Because at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I finished high school.
Same.
No idea. So I did business for like...
Where?
It was just those 2 colleges.
A
Those colleges in
that
Westy.
you get a diploma.
So I remember I didn't even get to have half of the course. So I did it for like 6-7 months, and I was like, okay,
Done.
That's not for me. It's definitely not for me. And later is when I got into fashion school, and it was actually my dad who suggested. He was like, look, you've had your sewing machine for quite a while.
Okay,
You've been doing all these things.
Hang on. You should have said I had a sewing machine. Go back. Rewind. Where was this sewing machine?
Yeah, so I got my first sewing machine in my bedroom when I was 13. And it was rickety and old. My dad got it from that Kamama. Those ones who like...
This is such an important part of the story. This is where the story begins.
Yeah, so I remember it was a used sewing machine that we got from a lady who used to do repairs. And that time it was because I remember I just found a suitcase of my mom's old clothes in the storage in the house. So I remember that time I was around like 11, 12, and that time we used to go to church every Sunday. And that was like our time to like show
Yeah,
out,
Sunday
Sunday
best.
best, everything. So I used to find all these cute clothes in the suitcase, and I was like, okay, I need to shorten the sleeves. That's like so old school. We need to like remove the shoulder pads and like do all this stuff. So I used to try and make it look cute. Do a V-neck, make it shorter, all that stuff.
Okay, so this is fashion school. What do you mean? Okay, so you started
So
fashion school at 11.
Basically in my bedroom. Basically
Yes.
in my bedroom, yeah. And I used to just use the to paper scissors, the ones that it doesn't even cut anymore, and you have to rip it. And then I used to hem it by hand, because at that time I'd done home science in school. So I used to know how to do some simple hemming and things. And then I used to wear it to church, and guys are like, oh my
God, you look so...
Actually, no one ever used to tell me I used to look nice. They just would be like, oh my God, wow, green and yellow and purple. And I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, what?
And I'm like, yeah.
Little fashionista.
Yeah, because it was still like retro looking. And at that time, guys used to wear the jeans with the fur. I never liked any of that stuff. So I used to
What years were these?
That was like, let's see, maybe that's about 15, 20 years ago.
So
2000.
early 2000s.
Yeah, let's say
Late
2000,
90s.
2005 there.
Oh, okay.
5, 6, 7, 8,
Okay.
around that time.
Uh-huh.
So guys used to do the jeans that were dyed like yellowish,
Yes.
with the fur and like all these weird, and it just wasn't my style. So I was like, okay, no.
So you were making your own.
Yeah, so I was getting the clothes with the sequins and the velvet stuff. That was very flamboyant. Yeah, that was now from like the 80s,
Yes.
Very flamboyant. So guys used to just look at me like, okay, what color is she going to wear today?
Wow.
And they're like, oh wow, so today we're going with like big sleeves, cool. And they're like, oh, that's so interesting.
Okay, so then in this scenario of yours, were you like into fashion TV? Like, who were you looking to?
So in fact, at that time, funny story, at that time we didn't have a TV in our house. So we didn't have a TV.
Did you not, growing up?
Yeah, growing up we didn't have a TV, because what happened is when I was about 11, 12, my cousin and I were playing with the TV. It was a silly game on like who could kick closest to the screen. And so I kicked it and my foot went through the screen.
What?
And my dad came and he looked at it and was like, yeah, no more TV. I'm not buying a new one. You guys survive. And we didn't have a TV until I was 18, 19.
I did, okay, but your younger sibling, 15 years younger, wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of,
your sister who's 5 years younger probably wanted to.
Yeah, she wanted to watch, and it was like, oh my gosh, Cris, why did you do this? So we used to have book club where we'd read books and then talk about them on Friday. That's what we do with my family. Like, there was no TV.
I'm tempted.
Like, no TV.
I hope my kids like mess it up.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So yeah, even
not a bad thing.
I'd go to school, like that time when I was in primary school. And now guys are watching all these shows. Because at that time it used to be like the Cuantos Esmias and all these, when the Spanish soap operas that come on into TV.
Yes.
And guys used to talk about them, and I used to have so much FOMO. So what I'd do is that when I come in the morning, I'll make sure I find the person who watches all of it, and I make them tell me everything. So in the story, I'm saying, when Isabella.
I know when she did that, she's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that really also taught me like how to extract information from people. So now I'm really good at that. I was like, tell me more.
I love it.
But yeah, so we didn't have a TV.
Okay, so that's why an interview is important. You skipped all this and went to business school. This is also important. Keep going.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't even really say where my inspiration was coming from fashion-wise.
So I just remember the other day that growing up, I was that kid who had, like, how people put like music
posters
on
yes,
their walls.
yeah.
I used to have the supermodels. In my time, which was before you.
Yeah.
We had the supermodel era with Naomi and Cindy Crawford and Kate Moss.
Beautiful time.
It was the best.
Yeah.
And that's who was on my wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know I also had some posters, but mine were mostly pop musicians stuff.
Okay.
So maybe that's where my fashion inspo came from.
Maybe.
But because now I used to get a lot of literature as a kid. So my mom would be like, okay, since there's no TV, you can have all the magazines you want. You can have all. So for me, I had like all the Vogues and all the things. So I used to read.
That's where it came from.
Exactly. So for me, I had posters now from magazines. So like an ad of like Guess. And I was like,
so you're like, I like that, and I like that look.
Yeah.
Maybe I can
so
get
that
out
was
of that
me.
sequin dress.
So I used to try and say, I was like, I think I can recreate this with like this orange looking sequin
Fantastic.
thing.
Okay, that tops that off with a bow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I did.
So your dad has seen all this happening.
Yes.
You've gone to business school. You don't even like it.
I don't
so
like
you left it?
Yeah, so I just stopped smack in the middle. I
Were you
was
doing
like,
something?
yeah,
Did you do something else after that?
So what happened is actually, because the course I was doing was for about, I think, a year and a half. On the 7th month, I said, okay, I'm not doing this. I can't. And I don't know what I want to do. And he was like, okay, cool. You've literally been sewing for as long as we've known you. You still do. You still go to, I used to go thrifting a lot. Now, when I got older, when I was 19, 20.
So that was your wardrobe?
That was my wardrobe. So I'd get stuff thrift and then I'd go and adjust it, take it in, do this, and like make it unique. So he's like, okay, why don't you, at that time we didn't know fashion school. So it's like, why don't you go and learn tailoring? Perfect. No, at that time we didn't know fashion school. So he's like, yeah, cool. I was like, I don't know where to check. Professionally do it. So he's like, okay, I think you can check like Polytechnic. So I went to Kenya Polytechnic and I was like, do you guys have a course? They're like, yeah, we have a tailoring course. Da, da, da. So I was about to actually sign in to get in there. And then my dad found out about another fashion school called Evelyn's. Evelyn's fashion school. Evelyn. Yeah, you remember Evelyn's. Exactly.
Yes.
So he heard about Evelyn's and he's like, okay, I think that it's a little bit more, your level. Like at least you get to know about design and it's not just you know. So I was like, cool, yeah, let's go to Evelyn. So I signed
Such a no-brainer. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
Because also him seeing that of you.
Yeah.
To further it.
Exactly.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, sure. So I signed into Evelyn's and I was there for a semester. And I remember one of my classmates had a family member who was starting a fashion school. So at that time, she was like, oh, she told us about it in class. And I was like, oh, yeah, let's go see it. Because I remember at that time, Evelyn's was great, but because it was the only option, any things that would happen, because I didn't like a lot of the things they'd make us do there. Like the sewing machines were all like beat up. Sometimes they weren't working, but then we're not allowed to go and sew at home. And by that time I'd saved up to get a proper sewing machine, which I had a proper one that I'd saved up for, brand new,
So what you're working with at home is
much better to what we have in school, yet we're not allowed to take our work home. So I was like, okay. So my friend now in class, she was like, okay, my family friend is opening a fashion school and it's going to be really good, new machines. Now we need to go and see it.
Awesome.
So we had a date. The whole class were like, yeah, on Friday, you're going to take all of us to go see this school and we're moving from this place with all these rackety machines we're moving. So on Friday, I remember at some point guys said, I can't come. Guys started making excuses, whatever. So it was just myself and the girl whose family friend owns their school and one other girl. And we went there Friday evening and I remember I went into that school and I was like, oh my God.
Done.
And literally after the show on Friday, like after we were shown the school on Friday, I went, I talked to my dad. Monday, I was in the school.
Awesome.
I told my dad, this is it. I promise, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere else. I'm not moving.
Nice.
This is the school.
What's the school? Is it still there?
Markinsall. Yeah.
Markinsall.
Yeah, Markinsall School of Fashion. And I was the first student in that school and I was the first one, like 001 for like about 2-3 weeks until now other people started checking in. Like literally for me when I walked in, I was like, this.
It was you and the teacher?
Yeah, it was just me and the lecturers in all the classes.
Wow.
I even started even telling them, giving them ideas of other lessons we need to be doing or other classes we need to be doing. Anyway, so I was there for about 3.5-4 years and I finished my course.
Amazing.
So it was in fashion design, I think in business or something. But yeah, that's why I did my studies, finished everything, graduated. And then from there, I think that's where I really got the idea of what I wanted to do with my skill and with my passion. And I did my internship. I remember the time it was with John Kaveke.
Oh.
So I did that for, I think, was it 3 months even? But I remember I did that with him. Yeah, and I think that's when I really...
we were a bunch of us in those days.
Yeah.
Kabeke. Do you remember Fafa?
Creatives. Yeah. Fafa was an event you used to do, right?
The big one. With,
I remember it.
We get designers from all over.
Yeah.
And Cris was running
I remember. So
at
that time I was in school and I'd look at all those things. I was like, wow, one day. Wow. So, I used to idolize like all of that. And I was like, every moment I'd want to be either with John Kaveke or with the owner of our school, Sally, like just trying to learn everything. I'm just like, okay, let me see how you guys do everything, what's happening. And a lot of designers at that time, who are focused on custom made or made to measure, you know, where someone comes in and they make something unique for you.
Yeah.
So I think during this internship process and trying to learn from different designers is when I actually realized what I want my brand to be.
Yeah.
I want it to be ready to wear, you
So
know.
pause. In this entire process, as you're interning and whatever, you're thinking, I one day want my own
Definitely.
line, my own line.
Yes, definitely. Even
Okay.
when I was in school, I
It's
knew.
to have your own line.
I knew I'm going to have my own line.
Okay.
Like, that's the end goal.
Perfect.
Yeah, so what I didn't know is how exactly this brand is going to be. Is it going to be like custom made like all the others I'm seeing, or do we want something else? So that's when I decided, okay, I want mine to be ready to wear, and I want it to be affordable. I want it to be, you know, easily accessible by many people, and I definitely want it to be online. You know, at that time when I was finishing school, now that's when the online was kidogo now. People are getting to know online, Facebook. That time there was no IG. There was.
Yeah.
But I remember, I don't know, I just felt, for me, the idea of online was like mind-blowing at the time, because I'm just like, oh my God, you can put something online and it's not just people here who see. It's like guys in other countries, anywhere. And that to me was like, okay, cool. Because then in my head, I was still thinking, okay, I wouldn't say traumatized, but because of my experience with how I used to, you know, make my clothes from my own mom's clothes, I knew not everyone had my taste and not everyone would like my product.
And you're making it just for you.
You know, and I knew, okay, fine. Because I know not everyone likes it, I need to see, more people need to see it, and then I find those people who like it, you know. So for me, the idea of online...
It was about as many eyes as possible.
So the idea of online for me was like... Oh,
because, of course, having one shop, then it's the people in that area who are coming.
Exactly. And it's like, it's just, brilliant. I just don't want people in Nairobi or Kenya. It's like, I want like...
Tell me more, tell me more. Oh my gosh. I have so many questions.
So I remember when I finished school, at this time now, when I'm finishing school, I finished my internships, everything. So now I'm ready to like do what I need to do. But I was like scared, you know, I was scared. I was scared of starting my brand. I was scared of like people accepting it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes there's this thing as a designer or as a creator of any form, when someone criticizes your product, it's like they're criticizing you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, so, okay, you don't like it, so I'm shit.
Basically. Yeah, so you don't like me.
So you don't like me.
So I should never have been born.
So I was crippled. I was crippled with fear. And I remember I was like, okay, maybe before I start my brand, let me do a bit of research and try testing, maybe selling other products before I design anything.
Okay.
Because, you know, I also felt, I don't know where this pressure came from, but I had this pressure where like all my friends, I was the only one who went to fashion school. All my childhood friends, they went to like, at that time, serious school. Like they went and studied like medicine or law, all like these things. Yeah. And they were like in your when or your SIU and but every time we'd meet, they're like, so Cris, how's the fashion school thing? And I was like
the thing you do before you do some real life
it's like, your fashion school. Oh, so you're stitching something.
Oh my
You know,
God.
it was very
like a fundi, right?
You know, and
okay, don't worry. We all went through that.
Yeah.
Me saying I'm a makeup artist like for a living.
Yeah.
Was like, okay, and what else?
Exactly. It's like, so what's your day job?
Makeup.
It's like, what's your
exactly
end?
Exactly.
It's like end. Every time you say
end?
what's the end?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that's it.
Yeah, that's what I do, and I love it. And
so there was that pressure. So for me, in my head, there was that pressure of like, okay, I went to fashion school. I need to prove to my peers that what I did when they were over there doing medicine was also like substantial and it was good and it was it was the right decision.
That is a different form of peer pressure.
You know,
that is a very positive.
Is
it? Listen, that is positive peer pressure.
Yeah, but it was a real pressure, and for me, it's like, okay, I just don't want to be the person who went to fashion school, did like this thing for 4 years of my life, and then I have nothing to show for it. So for me, even like putting out our first collection was such a big deal because I needed it to be like the most perfectest. Like, you know, I needed it to be like so good. Like when someone sees it, they're like, that's why you went to fashion school, you know? I needed it to be like that. So I was putting all this pressure on myself.
I'm feeling the pressure now.
You know? And I was like, okay. So I kept saying, okay. Before I design anything, before I put anything out, okay, let me do a bit of research. Okay, you know, and this was just me buying time. Later is when I realized you're just buying time because you're scared.
Oh my god.
So
nothing's for nothing. There's
you know, So I was like, okay. So my form of research was like, okay, because I really want to go into e-commerce and I want to go into online and I really want to push the brand on the digital space as opposed to having a shop. Let me get some clothes from where I shop the most, which is now Thrifting. So Gikomba. So I was like, okay, let me get some clothes from Gikosh and then I'll start selling them online only. Okay. Let me see if I can get an audience. Okay. And then also it'll be a way for me to raise capital for my ready-to-wear brand, right? Brilliant. But it was still fear. Like, these are all excuses. Yes, there were good excuses.
No, I feel everything you're saying so much. Yeah. It resonates with my story a million %.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So for me, it's like, okay, I was giving myself all these things I need to do before I actually do the thing that needs to be done, which is to start the brand, you know, but there are still good things, right? So I remember now I started my business, my thrifting business, and I remember I went with 200 shillings. That time, you know.
What year is this?
What year was that? I really can't recall, but I know it was straight out of uni.
So, but like,
actually, no, I started my business like 1 year before I finished uni. So when I was in uni, because when I was in uni, I remember that time my budget was so tight. My dad was really strict with like, he's not gonna give me money just at you like this. So he used to just give me exact for transport and like maybe a bit for lunch, you know. So I was like, okay, I'm in fashion school. I need to look good. Yeah. And I don't have budget. I can't be over there in fashion school wearing t-shirt and jeans.
I can't use my lunch money.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to find a way to still look good. So that's when I started thrifting for myself.
Okay.
So when I was thrifting for myself is when I realized, wait a minute, there's so many cool things here that either are not my size or just not my style.
Sure.
Yeah,
so
and
I
was
can
like,
do this for someone.
And I can do this for somebody, and I can actually make it a business. So Aikidogo soft launched it when I was still in school. So I used to sell to like my peers and stuff.
And they were buying.
Yeah, they were buying because what happened is I had a good eye to pick, because even there's times I'd go with my peers or my friends and we'd be sifting through everything together, and I end up finding like 50 things, and they're like, there's nothing here, only have one item. So I really had a good, they don't have the eye. So I used to go, literally my first start of the business, I went to 200 shillings, which at that time it was like ilikuwa nyuma, because I was like, those could make my clothes. Like I had to set aside this 2 sock to start this business. So I went to 2 sock, I bought 4 dresses.
What is that? Okay, exactly. What is that?
Yeah, so 2 sock, 200 bob. I bought 4 dresses, each for 50 shillings. And then I went, borrowed my mom's camera, and I took pictures in my bedroom. I wore the clothes and I modeled, and I took pictures and I posted them on Facebook. And at that time, I was selling each dress for 800 bob. And I sold them in 24 hours, and I was like, yes.
That's a crazy margin.
Yeah, 50 to 800, yeah.
That is more than cosmetics.
Let me tell you, I did that one day, and I was like, yeah, we have a business. Done. And I did it for a year and a half, proper.
So did you like actually start an official business?
Yes, it was an official. Yes, it was an official. Yes, it had a name. I think, what was it called? I don't even remember, but I have customers right now. Did you have to register it in that or no? It was, what is it called? The sole proprietor. Yeah. It was under sole proprietor. Okay. It was registered. Okay. I mean, at that time, really, no one was following you.
Yeah, but full-on legalities were done.
But at least it was there. We had like, for me, for a year, the business was online, because that's what I wanted. It was on Facebook
and so
only.
You were doing that?
Yeah, it was on Facebook. Then when IG came out, it was on IG. Fantastic. And I was just posting that with the price, posting that with the price, posting that with the price. Yeah, and I used to sell to people on Facebook, and then collection day. Now, when you buy something, collection day was on Saturday. Okay. So Saturday, I'd sit in CBD. This place, what is it called? Archives. Okay. So collection was from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Every Saturday at Archives. So I sit there with like everyone's packages. And
they would come.
And guys come, and I was like, okay, thank you.
They paid. They prepaid.
They paid. Wow. Yeah, they paid. So that was my intro into e-commerce. It was so, like, just me doing my own way of, like, just...
It's such an amazing story. Do you understand?
And that's literally how I started. Okay, we can make this like into a brand. This is how you do sales. This is how you communicate to customers. This is how you make sure you're not conned. This is how like now that's how I started learning, right? And it's like, okay, this is how you sell to somebody who hasn't seen the item, who doesn't know the size, who doesn't have a place to fit. It's like guys used to come and pick the package. There's no changing room. I'm just like, just go fit it at home. If it doesn't fit, I'll fix it for you. We'll exchange something. Don't worry. So that's how I started like getting how to know how to do all that. Yeah. So then we did that for a bit, and then now I found these car boot sales that used to happen on weekends.
Yes.
So now that's where we like went ham. So the car boot sales used to be from Friday to Sunday, most of them, and you just pay for a car space. Sometimes they'll give you a tent, whatever. Let me tell you,
in town,
Suzie.
Right?
No, different places. Different places. Yeah. Sometimes it's in Kilimani, sometimes just like different places.
Yeah.
Adams. There was one in Adams we did a lot. That one was really good.
You would get called for that for makeup stuff. Yeah.
So me, I'm like, okay, cool. Now we have all this, and now my bedroom. I'm still in my bedroom at this time, right? My bedroom has become storage. So I have like boxes of like dresses, tops, nini, like that.
This is the best stories. You started in your bedroom.
Yeah, and I had now a catalog of pictures. I'm still using my mom's camera. And to upload, I just used to, it was complicated. I used to have to borrow her laptop to move the stuff to the laptop, then to my phone. And then, but we made it happen. So then these car boot sales were amazing. So what I did is I had, and by the way, this whole time my parents were like fully supportive. Yeah. But in the back of my mind, my dad keeps telling me, Cris, when are you starting your brand? Because you know this geekosh stuff, you can't rely on it. It's very, and that's the time when the government has started talking about, we need to stop this second-hand business. It's not helping the economy and even the creative sector. It's not helping guys, blah, blah. So my dad kept showing me all those news things. And he's like, it's nice for now, but just know you still have to start your brand. I was like, yeah, I'll start it. Just wait.
So are you stashing away?
Yeah, so I'm trying to save. So initially, I never used to save at all. So, of course, initially...
I thought you were going to say initially I was saving all the time.
No, initially, when I found this car boot sale, Suzie, let me tell you.
You were bawling.
And that time, you're just from uni. I was like, I'd say maybe like 24, 23, 24, 25. Wow. That time, I used to literally just call my friends at home and say, guys, it's Friday after school.
It's on me.
Everything's on me. Everything. Mind you, on Saturday, I have to be up at 7 to go deliver my package. You guys used to sit at archives. I used to sit in archives in the heat with the hanging. And that's when I knew I was committed, because I'm like, I can't disappoint my people.
I'm gonna get it done.
I need to. And we're out in Baka 7. Like, I'm getting home at like 7 in the morning. I just take a shower. I package my things. I take them
Youth
to CBD.
Is important.
Youth, let me tell you. So initially, I never used to save much. But then later is when I was like, okay, look, I have a target. This is how much I need. And I actually sat down and I calculated what I need to start my brand. Oh my and I said, okay, now we have to make this money. And so now I started stashing away. After about 6-7 months of partying and living up, then I was like, okay, let's start putting aside cash. So these car boot sales is like, that was a game changer.
That continued.
That was a game changer for us, or for me. That time there was no us. It was just me, Cris. Because we'd go there Friday to Sunday. And, we'd rent it out. Probably at that time, I think they used to charge me about between 10 and 30K, depending on the place.
Oh, yeah, of course you pay for it.
You pay for the space. And I can tell you, in one weekend, we used to do clean like anywhere between 200 to 400K. And I used to have this rack that was like a square. And I had it custom made for me. Nice. It was a square rack. So rack on this side, on all 4 sides. Then in the middle, I made it in such a way it was a changing room. So guys could come pick up stuff and go and change inside. And then I had this huge signs there, just like 500 bob, 700 bob, 1,000 bob. So guys would be like really drawn by the price.
Marketing.
We used to sell. That time I'm solo. So my friends used to come. Of course, they're like, okay, how the fuck are you doing this? We were out last night, back at 7. Like, how are you? I was like, yo, it's business. So they used to come and try and help me a little bit here and there. But most times I'd be by myself.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I just sell. So I did that.
Within a few sales, you've paid for your space.
Yeah, we've paid for everything. And then I just now stay there to get, the most. And at that time, even I mean, even the marketing really wasn't there because at that time IG wasn't really strong. So I just used to go texting all our people, hey, we're going to be at this place Friday to Sunday. So if you're around, just pass by. Guys used to come and buy a lot. So that's really where we made a chunk of our cash.
That's such an amazing story.
Yeah, but then now...
So now it's time to start the brand.
Yeah, so now I got to a point where it was like, okay, we've arrived at our target. Now there are no more excuses.
Yes.
And,
And you've seen your skill is
now I've learned.
Acceptable.
Yeah, I've learned what I've needed to learn.
Yes.
The thrifting is a great business. The margins are crazy. I mean, those margins are like, oh God, so good. So then, but then I had to be like, no, now you're done with the fear. Now you've proven, you've proven you can do it. Now you have to do it. So I was like, cool, yeah. So I have to like get a chunk of money, do the production, do all this stuff, buy the fabric, all of that. So I was like, okay, I looked around Nairobi, I couldn't find anywhere or anyone who could do it for me. So I was like, okay, I think we need to go to China because that's where they do production. So I was like, cool, because I'd put that in my saving plan already. So I had some cash that I'd stashed for that. So I took myself to China, went there, and I was like, cool, let's find a factory, got a translator, everything. Like, he took me to the factories. And I think when I went there, I was really naive because I thought I could just walk into a factory and say, okay, give me 50 pieces of this and 50 of this. They're like, no, minimum 10,000. And I'm like, what?
So wait, but when you went there, you didn't do the...
No, I didn't. I just knew China does production. That's all I didn't, like I did it, like honestly, that one was like a blind jump. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, we're done. Like, I felt empowered after my business. I'm like, what are you telling me? I can do this, you know? So I just went. I didn't do any background on any factory, nothing. I just knew this is what you need to do.
So you took the trip to find out.
Yes,
what you
clearly.
need to do.
Yeah. So then the whole time I'm mad at my translator. I'm like, no, get me somewhere that can do less. Yeah. I'm telling you, we couldn't find. But while I was there, I remember my mom called me and she's like, no, Cris, you know, because I'm telling her, I can't find anything. Everything here is too much for me. Like, I can't, number one, no one knows even Icon in Kenya. I can't do a production for 1,000, 10,000 pieces.
You have to introduce the brand.
Yeah. So she's like, no, it's fine, but don't come back without something. Like, you have to come back with something.
Mom, I agree.
And I'm like, okay, fine. So then, like, for me, I think after the first 2 days, I was ready to just quit and sleep the entire trip. But then she was like, no, you went all the way there, don't come back with nothing. So I was like, cool. So we kept checking. We had to drive like outskirts of China, into those to dingy, like literally the rural China to even find something that could accept less MOQs. And it was cool. So I think the person we found was saying 500 pieces per style, per color, which was still a lot.
A lot, but not 10,000.
Not 10,000. So I was like, okay, fine. At that time, I had 6 designs. So then we just said, okay, fine, those 6 in the different colors. And I think overall, the pieces were coming to about 5,000 pieces. Where I'm like, okay, that's still a lot, but I can just see how to make it work. So then I paid the deposit, we agreed everything. Even I got somebody now who was my representation there, who said they'll be coming to check to make sure that they're doing the work that it's supposed to be done, everything. I'm like, cool. So the guy said, your stuff will be ready in 1 month. We'll send it to Nairobi, blah, blah. I'm like, cheers. So then now I came back, I was like, okay, now this is the month where I need to now prep for this arrival. So that's when I'm registering the business, logo.
Yes,
I made all my logos. I did everything myself, right?
Nice.
Brand name, Good thing is before I went to China, I had bought like a couple of sewing machines. They were now in my dad's, what's it called, garage. So I was like, okay, just give me the garage. Let me just work from there kidogo, and then I'll figure myself out. She's like, yeah, cool. So then I got that. So that month now was now planning for these things to come because now guys need to be ready. You know, there's still that pressure of, are you really a designer? Right. Yeah. Like your friends are doctors.
Oh my God.
Are you really? Like, you know, so I was like, okay. We need everything to be perfect. And I remember now the day when they told me the stuff had arrived, which was a Saturday. They were like, okay, so your goods have arrived. You need to complete the payment. I was like, cool. So I completed the payment and the goods came. I remember it was Saturday morning and I was so excited. So So the stuff showed out. I'm really excited. Everyone's there, even my family. They're like, okay, we can't wait to see. And I opened the box and I took out one piece and it was completely different from what we agreed. The fabric was so crap. It literally felt like polythene paper. It was so bad. Like the zips were all such bad quality. Like those ones for bags that stick. Like it was bad. It was bad. I remember I looked at, and all of them were like that. And I was like, okay, so I've slaved 1.5 years doing this business. And then all my savings just with some shit. And there's no one to do it. Like, you can't actually go follow up and say, because I've already paid them. They're like, no, we did the work. That's the fabric you picked. I'm like, okay.
Okay, just wait. I need to breathe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything. Like, it was horrible. There was nothing I could use. And in my head, I'm like, I have this pressure of proving myself. There's no way I can put this stuff up. Like, even for me, I'm like,